Hello, everybody. I am the White Angel, and I am a conservative. I am very scary to the left. Very scary. For you see, they fear the truth. And the truth is, we're going to talk about leftists as being racist pedophiles. Oh, yes. You see, my reasoning on this notion, we're going to talk about children being exposed to overtly sexual things in schools. If you remember a while back, there was this sex ed video where they were openly talking about genitalia and masturbation to 5-year-olds and to 6-year-olds. Question, leftists, why are you so interested in discussing sex with very young children? You see, I'm very, very concerned that you may be, in some sense, trying to increase pedophile acceptance and pushing the term pedosexual. Maybe you're pedophiles yourselves and you're just hitting yourselves extremely cleverly. See, you're teaching things that are overtly sexual in nature. Not only that, you recently, Drag Queen Story Hour, doing an overtly sexual performance art in front of children, and now you get this bit where a dude came in as a rainbow-colored monkey with a giant dildo attached to his crotch. The fuck is the matter with you? Why the hell would you show that to kids? Maybe I'll cut your dick off and put yours on him. How do you like that? Fucking disgusting ass freaks. Putting dicks everywhere and dildos everywhere. The fuck's the matter with you? That shit is for the bedroom. Nowhere else. What more proof could you possibly need than conservatives having more morals than the liberals and the leftists? Hell, they might not even have any. In the 8 values test, which is a more accurate political test than the 4 square gradient, we've recently found that apparently there's a total of 8 values, of which liberals only have 2, which is care and fairness. That's it. They just have care and fairness. They do not care about any other things like sanctity, sacredness, nationalism. Any of the other higher values are completely ignored. That's very telling. They're so into care and fairness for LGBT community that they're literally willing to prop up everyone, including the perverts and the pedophiles who want to be made part of the group. I'll tell you right now, as a bisexual man, you and me have nothing in common, pedo. Nothing. You want to have sex with children, or show sex to children. You disgusting freak. Conservatives have more morals than the left, clearly. The left arguably has none, not even care and fairness. The primary difference between liberal and leftist is that the liberal borrowed the name from an older movement, which was actually the movement that founded America, which was to say liberal as in liberty from tyranny, liberal from authoritarianism. What we talk about as being liberal now is progressivism, i.e. progress toward the future, progress away from tradition. This in of itself is not a bad thing per se, because not all of our traditions are good. Sometimes we do need to make progress, but there also needs to be pushback, because progressives always want to change everything. Everything, including the shit that works. And when you try to fix something that ain't broken, surprise, surprise, you end up breaking it. Leftists, on the other hand, are solid blue, hard left people who reject any and all form of conservatism, any and all form of right-wingism. They don't want to meet you halfway. They only support ideas like communism and socialism and all leftist ideas. They're frequently political extremists. Leftists are replete throughout groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. They're fundamentally leftist in nature. And these leftists support these kinds of issues, but it's mostly for the sake of their own ego, to use other people's problems and divide on orientation and sex and race in order to create conflict that will get people to want to vote for them and their policies. Now, I want to talk to you about Desmond is Amazing and Queen Lactatia. If you're not familiar, these are child drag queens performing an expressly sexual performance art. Now, I wanted to mention to you a practice in Afghanistan among the upper middle class called bachabazi. Now, bachabazi is a disturbing practice. This is where you take an adolescent boy, the youngest is 12, oldest 18, and basically you dress him up like a woman and teach him erotic dance. And then wait till the patron is sufficiently aroused, and then the kid takes it through the back door. Frequently without consent. Back door. So here's some of the similarities. Desmond is Amazing, Queen Lactatia wear women's clothing. Similarity. They dance around in a vaguely erotic fashion. Similarity. There is no evidence that they are taking it up the butt. They're not being raped. There's no evidence of that. People will claim it, but there is no evidence. It's not happening. However, there are likely pedophiles in the audience at these shows watching and becoming aroused by what they're seeing. There's very little reason for doubt, especially when Desmond is literally stripping in a gay bar and they're hooting and hollering at him like he's a stripper and throwing money at him. That's exactly bachabazi minus the anal sex. Non-consensual. Disgusting. You are either pedophiles or you're supporting pedophiles. Period. The fuck's the matter with you? Now, you want to talk about how they're pedophiles. I think I've more or less just made a damn good case for it. About how leftists and some liberals are basically pedophiles or supporting it. Now, how are they racist? Well, the traditional definition of racism has to do with discrimination on the basis of the color of somebody's skin. Denying people access to their rights, treating them differently, lynching, segregation, two historically classic forms of racism. One is no longer happening. The other still is in some places. And guess which one is still happening? It's the segregation. Leftists are teaching segregated race seminars. A traditional form of racism is segregation. Separating people based on skin color, giving them different forms of education. You had segregated drinking fountains, and while you don't have segregated drinking fountains, you do have segregated racial equity classes, which is still very much in the same general vein, because you're separating people off and teaching them different things based on their skin color. And Robin DiAngelo, who is a leftist, in her own book, she literally said that, she had decided that white people must be inherently racist and uncomfortable in a room full of minorities because she's uncomfortable in a room full of minorities. Robin, one thing comes to mind that stands out in your conclusion. I'm not you. Why are you projecting what's normal for you onto others? You think white people are racist because you're racist? I'm pretty sure that if I ran a digital IQ checker over you, it would probably read something like 52. Definitely room temperature IQ, not very smart. She's basically projecting herself onto others. She's racist, and because she's racist, she thinks other people are racist because they have the same skin color as her. Wow. That is amazing. And she is absolutely a leftist. Now, I also have a stockpile. I'm probably going to put it onto a Google Drive at some point or something. I have a great big old stockpile of racist quotes and tweets from all sorts of people. Filthy racist comments about white people, about black people, about every race and in between. So I got a great big old stockpile that I can show you of blue check marks on Twitter and other people saying racial epithets. It's really quite revealing how open hatred for whites and Caucasians is out there, and it's either being denied, defended, or covered up because it's bad optics. It's not talked about nearly enough, but it could arguably talk about too much if we go too far. Suffice to say, the left is openly hateful and then pretends it's not real because they say racism is racial prejudice plus power and not discrimination. They just say that so they can discriminate. Their actions reveal their true intent. They're all over Twitter. They say shit all the time. I have the fucking proof. And liberals and leftists will defend racists so long as they're not white. They only care about hate criminals and hate crimes if they're committed by white people. Asians aren't being beat up by Asians are not being beat up by white people. They're being beat up by black people. There is such a thing as black nationalism, spreading racist misinformation. Do they care? Of course not. Because it's in line with their beliefs. Their talking points overlap with black nationalism. Does that mean they're related? Not necessarily, but they are in agreement. So I do have this notion, sort of a supplement or possible replacement to groups like the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center, which may have been infiltrated by leftists. At the very least, the ADL has proven that they're vulnerable to 4chan pranks. They don't fact check. At least not sufficiently. If you remember a while back, they were trying to say that bowl cuts and OK hand signs were racist. It was literally a fucking 4chan prank. You could trace it back to the message board. It was a joke. How is a bowl cut racist? It's just a cheap alternative to people who can't afford hair salons or in-home trimmers. Like, dear God, you motherfuckers. I swear your IQ is 52. But yeah, I'm going to create my own idea. It's called the Blacklist Project. I'm going to collect up a bunch of evidence of various people of racist things they've said or did in the past, regardless of the severity, even the minorest thing. And I'm going to create a blacklist. A list of individuals that, should arguably be avoided. Or everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt, basically. They should not be taken seriously. They should be treated as outcasts, outsiders. They are racist and should not be entertained. So they will be blacklisted. There will be a great big old list of people to avoid, how to avoid them, or if you insist on interacting with them, here's what you can do or here's what you can say to them. Just create a big old blacklist. That would certainly be a lot better than that silly old ADL, wouldn't it? Since apparently bowl cuts and OK hand signs. Ooh, look, white power, ee-hee-hee. Yeah, fucking right. Anyway, down below will be a link to my books on Kobo.com. Please click a link to buy the books and read them. Thank you. Anyway, welcome to the Reformation.